Hi everyone, this is the Dispatch for Thursday, April 30th. Our psalm today is Psalm 23, the beloved familiar psalm. And then we go to Exodus for the second reading. Exodus chapter 2, this is the rising action of the Exodus narrative. Moses has just fled Egypt because he killed an Egyptian, and he's fled to the desert to a place called Midian. And there at the well, he rescues these daughters of Jethro and is given one of those daughters, Zipporah, in marriage, has a son. All that happens very quickly. And then at the end we learn that God hears the cries of the Israelites who are enslaved in Egypt. And the language is maybe a little troubling if we read it in a particular way. It says that God heard, God remembered, God looked upon Israel upon the Israelites, and God took notice of them. If we read it in a certain way, it may sound like God hasn't noticed, that God's been ignoring, or God hasn't been paying attention to what's been going on with the Israelites. But really that's maybe just the nature of the way that the language is expressed here. What it's saying is that God pays attention to suffering. God hears suffering. God takes notice of pain. And God hears Israel's pain, and God then responds. And the story that comes from here is shortly after this, Moses will meet God at a burning bush, and God will call Moses to go and to set the people of Israel free. So that's Exodus. And then we go to 1 Peter again. We're in 1 Peter chapter 2. The author is employing the language of Israel. A royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's own people. This is the basic foundation of Israel's identity, right? The Jewish people understand themselves to be set apart, to be chosen. And so the author is talking to Christians, of course, but Christians with a Jewish background who will understand this. And it goes even deeper than that. First Peter, it says, "Once you were not a people, but now you are God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy." This is a very intentional use of the prophetic book of Hosea. It seems a little obscure to those who don't know the Old Testament scriptures, to those who don't know the Hebrew scriptures, which is why it's clear that this text is intended for a Jewish audience or a Jewish Christian audience. The book of Hosea, the prophet, is a very strange story, and Hosea takes as his wife a prostitute. And Hosea and this prostitute give birth to children, and God tells Hosea to name these children these terrible names. A daughter named Lo Ruhamah, because I have not had pity on you. And the name means no pity or no mercy. And then they have a son, and Hosea names the son Lo Ami, which means not my people, because God says, you, Israel, are not my people. And then in chapter 2 of Hosea, God elevates the wife of Hosea from the status of a prostitute to a wife, a real wife. And God says, tell Lo Ruhamah that I have had pity on you. Tell Lo Ami that now you are my people. So Hosea's personal life is a story of the redemption of Israel. And now in 1 Peter, the author is making use of that. In fact, is stating that has been fulfilled in Christ. That God's action on behalf of God's people has now taken place. Now God has had mercy. Now you were not a people, now you are God's people. A royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's own people. That's it for today, and we will see you tomorrow.